Welcome, everyone.
Really got a lot of time on his hands.
Podcast number 13. 10 and a 3. 10 and a 3. As always, we have the almighty Dorian Wonder Mouse from Richmond, California. Geechee Dan from Phoenix, Arizona. DOOZE from Florissant, Missouri. And of course, you have me, Rod D, from Detroit, Michigan. We want to thank each and every one of you for continuing to watch us on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, TikTok, and everywhere else you can find podcasts. Keep looking for us. Keep subscribing. Keep following. Doing all that stuff. Y'all know I'm old. I don't know all the terms, but keep doing it because it allows us to continue to do for you.
Close these blinds.
You changing who?
Closing the blinds.
In the middle of our program, the Wonder Mouse is going to close the blinds.
So didn't bring donuts, and he had to get up to close the blinds.
I mean, he's about to do something. He's about to do something he don't want nobody to see outside.
He's never heard of Paul's camera.
He's about to get into this thing.
He gonna do something. He gonna do something. He must have a lot of blinds. It's taking quite a bit of time.
Yeah, you got to get it dark in there. Oh yeah.
That's first.
Yeah.
First.
Yeah.
I think
Yeah.
He's trying to get sexy with it.
Little intermission
Light on
music.
his face.
Little intermission music while we wait for Dad to get comfortable.
Give him a nice glass of wine. Oh yeah. Turn off the light. Turn the lights off.
I say cut the lights on. All right, that's a little bit better, man, bruh. You don't understand. California, that still ain't really much better, but
hey, bruh, stay right there. Just stay right there. Don't move. Keep your face right there. Keep your face right there. Don't move. Don't move. And while you're at it, go and tell us what we talked about last week, bro.
Yeah.
I have to zoom in. I feel like I'm far back, like when they were taking pictures of Marla in A League of Their Own. From way back. All right. So last week we talked about Milwaukee and their coaching vacancy. Will they regret firing Coach Bud? We talked about the Celtics' woes, although they end up coming back and winning the series. Of course, as usual, Dante was crapping on DeAndre Ayton, the mediocre man, and we recapped the Suns week. We talked a bit about LeBron James Jr., Bronny living up to the hype, committing to USC. Will he eventually get a chance to play with his father? We talked about gambling in the NCAA now that we've got all of these gambling apps. So we talked about the gambling rings that were happening in Iowa State, and at Alabama with the coach. Staying in the NCAA, we talked about the NIL deals, particularly of Angel Reese. We talked about the WNBA and their financial woes. We talked about the NFL schedule coming out, what games would be good, what games we thought we might want to see, what stadiums we might want to visit. And then we also talked about the PGA in terms of really Tiger and this multi-million-dollar lawsuit from a scorned ex-girlfriend. So we discussed that. So now
we
on to this week.
Talking about that stuff.
So I guess we're sticking with me, aren't we? Talking about hockey. So
talking a little hockey. Go ahead, D.
So the conference finals have started in the NHL. We got the Stars and against the Vegas Knights and the Carolina Hurricane and the Florida Panthers, who actually were, interestingly enough, wild card 2 that are now in the conference finals. But I tell you what I find very interesting, and this has nothing to do actually kind of with the hockey play, right? As I'm still learning more and so on and so forth, I'm kind of mad that Connor McDavid is no longer in it because that dude is the truth. But I find it very interesting in terms of expansion. The Vegas Knights have been in the NHL for 6 years, and they have been to the conference finals 4 out of the 6 years. Yet it seems like every other league that when they bring in an expansion team, that expansion team sucks
for 30 years.
Yeah, exactly.
right? Until they get better. So I just find it very interesting that we see them coming in and not only winning like a fluke, like I think their first year they went to the Stanley Cup final and people were like, oh, that was kind of a fluke. But dude, they are consistent. 4 out of the last 6 years, they've been to the conference finals, and now they're the number 1 seed. So it's not been a fluke. They've just gotten better and better. And I wonder what other management groups can learn from the Vegas Knights ownership. That's the interesting thought.
That's a good point, D. That's a good point.
Mm-hmm.
Because whatever they're doing it right.
Bro, and quick.
And quick.
And think about it in this way. The Seattle Kraken, this is their first year or second year?
Second year, right?
Second year.
And they already made it to the conference semifinals. I can't remember if it's their first or second year, but it's one of the two. They just got here. They babies on the scene.
First year was 21-22.
Okay, so last year, all right. So they already made it to the second round of the playoffs. Even though they came in as a wild card, they still an expansion team that's coming in and playing well. So it's either something about the setup of the NHL that gives teams, even those coming in, gives them an opportunity to be able to compete.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know how they do it, but other leagues need to take some notes so that when especially as we're talking expansion in the NBA, talking expansion in the WNBA, talking expansion in these other leagues, they might want to see what it is that the NHL is doing so that these new teams can come in and be competitive.
It's called a great combination of the right free agents and the right young and up and coming players that per se don't always get the playing time on other NHL rosters. It's kind of like the old Flanays in baseball with the Billy Bean ball kind of concept. When you look at the salaries in hockey, they definitely don't equate to like baseball, basketball, or football. So again, like Dorian was saying, the management job that they've done in Vegas with that team and the following that they have also shows you that they have the finances to keep it going. But they have a model, like I said, and just like the Kraken were the same way. They basically get free agents and younger players to fill those teams up. So it's basically just a bunch of other random players around the league and other players from overseas, by the way. That's how they built these winning teams. And like you guys are just saying, I'm waiting to see which NFL team or other professional sports organization goes looking for one of these GMs from one of these hockey teams.
Well, it's kind of unfair, really, because all of the other teams, they got a chance to save their players or whatever, save like 8 players or what have you, and then everybody else is put into the pool. So for the most part, those teams were putting their higher priced players. They were taking them, not making them available for the draft,
Protecting them,
expansive draft, protecting them. So the lower price teams, lower price players were made available. So what they were able to do was, through good scouting, is to look at all these different teams because you have a pick of all these different teams at their young players that don't have a whole lot of money tied up into them to get those players, and then as D said, you add to that with the free agents because they have bunch of free agent money because they didn't have any salary before. So it's kind of unfair for them. But what they did, they proved that it can be done. It was the same thing happened when the Minnesota Timberwolves came into the league, and when the Memphis, what used to be Vancouver Grizzlies, when they came into the league, they had the same situation. But they were going for the names. Let me get some names so I can get some people in the stands or what have you.
And they got good draft picks too.
Yeah. But the thing is, what Las Vegas and Seattle are proving is that people will come out if you win it. It really doesn't matter who's on your team. We just want to win.
Yeah.
And what I will say is that in Vegas, man, bro, they support that Vegas team like nothing else I've ever seen in hockey. And I'm here in Detroit where they bleed Red Wing hockey.
Hey, one final thought on that before we move on to the next subject, guys. As far as a model that I believe like Vegas is used, you guys remember the old Nintendo game Baseball All Stars? Remember you had to hit the team. You basically had to use that concept. you actually use that same concept with lower price, then you can get a big price veteran to build that team. That's the model that I compared, use the analogy, I should say, to what Vegas has done. It's the baseball all-stars model.
Me and Rodney was talking about that game the other day. Literally.
Hey, that's one of the best baseball games ever. So anyway, the next thing we're gonna talk about is the NFL. Darren, sing the song.
Well, that's the thing, is that I haven't heard much about these NFL rookie camps.
Oh, we doing rookie.
You talking about the it's magic.
There you go, dude.
So, okay, see,
Dante put up the magic.
I'm looking at the agenda.
Yeah, but Dante put up the magic one, so we had to go ahead and talk about it since he put it up there.
Screen.
Oh, okay, because I'm ready to talk about the rookies.
I forgot.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
Right, so, well, no, we were just talking about the fact that Magic's group was, got congratulations to be the new owners of the Commanders. So we thought
you didn't sing the song, were you?
You're supposed to sing the song
because I'm not singing the song.
Let the girl hear that voice, man.
Sing it, dudes.
I'm not singing this song.
Oh, it's magic.
All right, back to the story.
I'm not singing that
So
song.
anyway,
Give me that, D.
so this week, the NFL did announce that. I'm sorry, they announced that the winning bid is for the group that had Magic as one of the partners. But what was interesting is that one of the comments that they made was, if it wasn't for the fact that they were trying to get rid of Dan Snyder, they would not have approved this ownership group. But they wanted to get rid of Dan Snyder so bad, they went ahead and approved this group. And I think we were talking about that back in the day, some weeks back. They just really wanted to get rid of Dan Snyder. And they said it wasn't a perfect bid. They had some questions about their finances, this, that, and the other. And there was also questions about the head person. I can't think of his name right now. They had some questions about his viability as being the leader.
You mean Josh Harris?
Josh Harris. They had some questions about him being the head of the group, but they had even more questions about Dan Snyder. So they was like, "Look, let's get this man out of here. Let's just go." So that was real interesting in that respect. Also, this week, D, we don't have a flat graphic for that. We did have the NFL rookie camps.
Okay, now we can talk about the rookie camps.
Talk about rookie camps. We can talk about the rookie.
Although they must talk about.
We can talk about the rookie camps now. So yeah, all the players that got drafted a couple of weeks ago, the teams had rookie mini camps, and the funny thing about that is you have they have the rookie camps, but they can't participate if they haven't signed their contracts, and very few have actually signed their contracts now. But I will say, the Lions had the Jahmyr Gibbs, based off of what we're hearing here, is going to be a straight up baller. Although they got a whole lot of flack for drafting a running back who's really not a complete running back in the first round. He's more of a hybrid running back receiver. But they're expecting some real good things about him. What they doing? Say it again.
He's Christian McCaffrey.
He's 2.0. Christian McCaffrey 2.0. He runs through the tackles, between the tackles rather. He can catch the ball out of the backfield, and the brother is just super fast. He ran a 4.3 40. He got mad hops. Another thing we had this week is the XFL. We haven't talked about the XFL. I don't think we've ever talked about the XFL, have we?
Once,
very briefly.
Once.
When
the season was about to start, we talked about Dwayne Rock.
Behind that.
Speaking of black owners, in sports teams, we forget about Dwayne The Rock Johnson being a black, owner of a professional sports
the
team.
whole league. Right.
Yeah, he owns the league.
That's a
He owns
partner,
the
but
league.
yeah, he's the face of it. So I actually watched that game. There was absolutely nothing else on, guys, that day. You guys can imagine. I actually watched the game.
I watched it too.
What I found interesting was the Renegades quarterback. What his real passion was, which we all did, guys. He was a damn good bowler, or still is. That's what I found intriguing out of that whole thing.
Right.
I watched about 30 seconds of that thing, of that game. It was a kickoff, and I found their kickoff to be very, very different. Because when they do their kickoffs, everybody just stop at, what is it 30? They line everybody up at the 30 or the 20 or something like that. And nobody can move
until they
no one can move until he catches the ball. I thought that was pretty interesting. And I can see how that can reduce some of the injuries from players running down and smacking each other. I can see how that would work. So that was pretty interesting to me. But other than that,
real quick note on that. That kickoff rule that they have implemented is actually a beta test for the NFL. So they have a few rules in the XFL that they're beta tested, and that being one. And I actually love that kickoff rule. Like I said, it kind of reminds us of Sandlot. Remember, can't nobody move to somebody to get the ball. Everybody try to tackle you. But it's at a closer distance. So you don't have these big collisions from, these guys coming to far full steam ahead and then diving at you to hit you. So I actually like that concept of the game. You don't see as many kickoff returns, which you don't see in the NFL anymore either, because they're all touchbacks now. But as far as safety, that is a rule the NFL should definitely implement within the next year. If not the next year, they should do that.
Yeah. Again, watching that, I saw how that was safer than the current kickoff rules or whatever, because like I said, they just stood there. They couldn't move until once he caught the ball, then they could take off. So you only had collisions from about 15 yards away versus having somebody get a full head of steam from 40 yards away.
Right. And then it's still the possibility of exciting kickoffs. I tell you one thing I hate, and I hate in all sports, but I really hate it in the XFL because they do more of it. I hate these player interviews during the game.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I hate them. And the thing that they do in the XFL is they do it after a play. So a person will get a first down or get a touchdown, and then all of a sudden here's the reporter. So what did you see on that play? Well, and it's like, well, now you telling the game plan. You got them telling the game plan, but at the same time, how can the media criticize players in certain games for not being focused? But then here you come to take their focus off the game for your benefit.
And give some stupid questions.
Yeah. Right in the middle of the game.
It's like the fans don't even want to know that question right now. Right. They're interested in watching the game.
Right.
So what you're saying, Dior, is do we really need all these sideline reporters reporting on nothing that we care about in the middle of the game?
Well, it's not so much the sideline reporters. We don't need the interviews in the middle of the game. They can still report on what's going on.
Don't bother the athletes.
Report on what's going on, but there's no reason in the world for you to interview a player in the middle of a game. I don't even like when they interview the coaches at the end of the half.
Yeah,
right. I hate that too. I don't like that either.
Yeah, because you want them to remain locked in, into the game plan, into the game, and and the flow of what's going on. And seems like it disrupts the flow.
Now you got to stop. Now you got to ask a question about. So I saw you high five E13. How long have you known him?
Hey guys,
we up 10. What are you talking about?
Speaking of halftime, somebody keep your ear on. Rodney, I know you're watching the game to see who walks up to Darvin Ham and asking him, what are you guys going to do to stop the Joker? I want to see what the answer is going to be when they ask that question.
They can't.
If he's the one that gets
somebody's going to
interviewed,
ask you, what can you guys do to stop the Joker? That's going to be the question. Like Dorian said,
that's going to be the question. But they already know the answer. What Joker had? I'm just curious now.
He almost got a triple double now. 19 points, 7 assists,
halftime,
and 16 rebounds at half.
Ooh, 19 and 16.
Ooh, yeah, 19 and 16 and 7 assists. Yeah.
At half. That's just
And they up what 18 points.
So anyway, another thing that happened today, as a matter of fact, is the NBA quote unquote draft lottery. And it works just about as well as the regular lottery. It's all rigged because there is no way in the world San Antonio should have won that lottery.
Man, the fix was in.
The fix is in. They wanted San Antonio to have that pick so that they can have another run like they had with Tim Duncan and David Robinson and all that. So now the Suns have the chance to draft Victor Wembanyama.
You mean the Spurs? The Spurs, not the Suns. The Suns going to wish they can get Wembanyama for 8. No, you mean the Spurs?
I said the Spurs. Y'all hearing, man. I've been hearing things.
But anyway,
the Spurs have a chance to draft Victor. And I don't even know why I said a chance to draft. They're gonna draft him. Ain't nowhere in the world they won't draft him.
Exactly.
There is no way. This guy, 7'5", with a step back 3, will drive to the hole, will block your shot, get every rebound. He has an 8-foot. He has an 8-foot standing reach, man. That's just crazy.
But the problem is, as Rodney would say, wait till he get that little frame up against the Joker.
Yeah, but see the Joker got
to chase him
with him too.
Mm-hmm. That's gonna be interesting, bro.
Victor might be a little light in the tooth, but bruh, that brother can play. And the Pistons got screwed today the most because they went from having the worst record in the league to getting the 5th pick. Man, this draft after Wembanyama, and you may have Scoot Henderson. Maybe there's a possibility that he'll be okay, but he is.
I think Scoot's good. Scoot's good. Yeah, he'll be a solid pro. He'll be a solid pro.
He has the same issue as Brickhead Westbrook. He cannot shoot,
but he has time to learn how to shoot though.
Well, he's only 19.
Magic Johnson couldn't shoot when he came in. Michael Jordan couldn't shoot when he came in. So.
But dudes, he's shooting 30%, man, from 2.
Well, and that's what I keep saying about that boy out in Brooklyn, man. I'll take Ben Simmons.
Nah. Dude, you gotta have to record Deuce's reaction when you said he shoot 30% from 2. Deuce said, "Ooh."
I didn't know that, but yeah, I mean. He has some great skills though. He can get to the basket. So
now he can get to the goal.
Yeah,
but he can't getting to the goal and dishing it. He's great.
Yeah,
but getting to get a goal and finish, if it's not a dunk, he don't finish.
Yeah, as a rookie, I think
he layups.
Yeah,
I don't know about that.
I think you can relate to that, Rodney.
Yeah. But that was a mental thing. I had a mental issue.
And an arm issue and a hand issue.
And a vertical leap challenge too.
Hey, but put me out to the 3, baby. Put me out to the 3. Come on now. I get more points out there than y'all get in the middle.
Look,
go ahead. My Doyle Brunson.
What happened?
Oh man. So this sad story for all the card players out there, poker players especially. Like myself, being an avid poker player. But the Godfather of Poker, and this is truly the Godfather of Poker, Doyle Brunson, 89 years old. His birthday didn't come up. He died the other day. Y'all see his resume over there. Obviously, he in the Poker Hall of Fame, but 2-time World Series main event champ, 2 of those. First player to win $1 million. He's really the guy that put the World Series of Poker, put poker on the map, especially as far as being viewed on television, which is why ESPN basically became a sport. 10 10 bracelets. Guys, to get one is incredibly hard. This dude has 10. But that makes him second all time. Though Phil Hellman got 16 of these bad boys. And for those like the brothers with us that play poker, Phil Ivey, he's tied with Phil Ivey with 10. So yeah, there is a brother that's dominant in poker too. We ain't seen him on the circuit in a while, but just definitely wanted to give a quick, I shouldn't say shout out, but our acknowledgement, condolences to one of the best poker players in the world. And then one final note, guys, not only he was the first guy ever to win a World Series of Poker here and the World Poker Tour. The World Poker Tour is meaning you playing the world's greatest from all over the world. This guy did it. 6 guys have done that before, but he was the first to ever do that. So I definitely want to, like I said, get some acknowledgement to Big Dog Brunson because I'm an avid poker player.
It's so hard to say goodbye to yesterday.
I don't have a lighter, dude. I don't have a lighter.
By the way, guys, 10 deuce was Dog Brunson's favorite hand. Kicked a lot of ass with that hand. 10 deuce.
He playing on the 10 deuce?
That's what he won a couple big tournaments with was 10 deuce. Dog Brunson.
Oh, wow. Go ahead. That's some ballsy moves right there.
Yeah, man.
But let's get back to the
y'all.
NBA.
All right,
I
y'all.
thought 10 deuce was only a good hand in between.
Exactly.
Let's get down to business. Let's get down to business.
All right, y'all. Unless y'all been under a rock, y'all know about this this wonderful brother basketball player that we have.
Woke up this morning. Got
You know what,
yourself
man?
a gun.
It's so hard. All right, we're just gonna put it out there.
Say it.
Ja Morant has got to be the most
He's the
idiotic
dumbest.
person ever to lace up basketball shoes in the NBA.
And it's been some dumb ones before.
And there's been some dumb ones before, y'all. So let's do a
other
recap. So 2 months ago, it was just 2 months ago, y'all. Ja Morant lost the game to the team that's playing tonight, the Denver Nuggets. He lost the game to the Nuggets and decided, you know what? I want to go out and party. I'm going party. So he went to a gentleman's club. We're gonna say that.
The Dirty Kitty.
To partake in, the
Pink Slip.
activities at
The
the
Dirty
at the
Kitty.
gentleman's club.
Shout out to the Pink Slip.
Shout out.
Larry Flint.
But while he was there, he decided he made 2 mistakes. One was taking out his phone and going live on Instagram. That's the first mistake.
Mm-hmm.
The second mistake was he contributed to the first mistake by taking out a pea shooter and showing it to the folks as he's doing the Instagram live thing. Okay. End result, he got suspended by the team, suspended by the league. He served an 8-game suspension, which really wasn't an 8-game suspension. But I digress.
So vacation down in Florida as well,
He went down to Florida for 2 days to a rehab center, came back, said, "Oh, I'm cured."
I have seen the light.
I have seen the light. All
of my ways.
All of my vices have been removed from me. I am now back on the straight and narrow. He gave an interview with Jalen Rose saying that he's gonna try to he do everything right because he wants the people to gain their respect back and gain their trust. Blah blah blah. Delivered. So that's what happened this past weekend, y'all.
Wait, real quick. Don't forget when he went down to Miami, he only spent not 1, just 2 days.
2 days.
Well, he saw the light in that short time. He saw the light.
He saw the light.
Look, man.
He saw the light for 2 days.
Hey.
He was a changed man. I'm saying.
You can change. Everybody can change.
Delivered.
But then what happened, Rodney? But then what happened?
He was
So this
under.
past weekend, y'all, Mr. Ja Morant decided he was going to take a little road trip with a friend of his. And as they making a little trip down the road, they decide the song come on. They decided, you know what? We going to go live again. I told y'all what his first mistake was.
Wait, Rodney. Was these the same friends that he told Jaden Rose that he was cutting off? Or wait, he wasn't gonna cut off. Remember that?
And you know what?
Dude,
Look, I don't know if it's the same friend, new friends, he's just acquaintance he's just riding with. All I know is the boy went back on Instagram Live. Although, wait. It wasn't his Instagram Live. It was the driver's Instagram Live. So the driver driving the car and going live. Mistake. Okay.
I guess it was the driver's gun too.
But your boy Ja decided.
Well, the song got good to him, right?
Gun to everybody. At least it was a bigger gun this time. It was a bigger gun. It wasn't a little pea shooter. It was a bigger gun.
You gonna be trying this 38?
Bruh, you just told. I was about to say David Stern. Oh Lord,
the world. He told the world
to let David Stern rest in peace.
Right. Like from Dante emailing him. Now he got
Dante still emailing him.
I was about to say David Stern, but he went to Adam Silver, told Adam, "Hey man, I saw the light. I changed my ways. You'll never have a problem for me again." 2 months later, you doing the exact same thing. So, bruh, could y'all please explain to me what the hell is going on with John?
What's wrong with your voice? What's wrong with your voice, bro?
I don't know, man.
Like Peter from the Brady Bunch when his voice changed.
My computer
let's keep it to the point. Let's keep it to the point. The question was, how much time should he serve in this suspension? Me, just to get out there, I think he should serve a full year. Round table, going clockwise, dudes.
I second that. A year suspension.
Oh, look. From the moment I saw the little thing dude sent me saying he was suspended, he deserves a year. Precedence has already been set.
Mm-hmm.
Who set the precedent? You talking about Gilbert Arenas?
Gilbert Arenas.
Yeah.
Even though it's different circumstances.
Yeah. I say
circumstances.
And Gilbert Arenas brought his to the facility.
To the facility.
He drove from the Virginia side of the water to the DC side.
Right. So, so that was bad.
So what you think, Dorian?
I was really thinking half a year.
Half a year? Okay, half a year.
I said half. I wasn't thinking a whole year because if you getting suspended like that, you getting suspended without pay.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So for me, I think that half a year for me because of that, because it's suspension without pay. So for me, it's half a year, but it's definitely got to be. It was more. I heard somebody say 20 games. I heard somebody say 30. No, I think it's got to be more than that. I was actually going to go baseball and say 50 games. But yeah, it's got to be significant, man, because essentially what you did is you lied.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Well, we knew he lied.
And so this is the thing too, is that like I've heard people try to blame his friends, right? But if you watch the video,
mm-hmm.
he now of course it's stupid that he going live and he driving, but Josh sees him video. And he all in the camera like this, and then he went and pulled up the gun. It's not like Ja had the gun up and then he went live and he got caught before. He was already in the camera, looking all in the camera, and then he pulled the gun up, and his boy was like, "Oh," and then pulled it down.
Mm-hmm.
So his boy was trying to save him
because
he saw him do something stupid because he was already looking in the camera. So that was not gonna blame anybody for this, but him.
But also I think the boy should take some of the blame, because I mean, if that's your day one homeboy, you kind of know that he's too dumb to your boy's too dumb to put on live. So I'm not gonna put him on live because my boy ain't too bright.
I'm gonna go back to Rodney's initial thought. First of all, you and your boy, how you driving and on Instagram and showcasing your gun, and your boy jumping in the picture too. Stupid. So,
but the reason I said a year, he has to feel it, because I think the problem with Ja is he has, I mean, nobody's made him face any consequences before. And so that's why he feels like
eight,
he's the Teflon Don.
82
So
games.
if he actually feels it and gets a chance to miss the game, then I think it'll benefit him more.
With that being
so
said,
not us just trying to slam him, but he just needs to, I think it'll help him.
With that being said, I'm gonna give him a little leniency. I'm thinking about it now. I'm in terms of a little more in line with Dorian with the 50 games. Since they play 82 games, I would suspend him half the season, because suspending him half a season now with the new rules taking effect, we know he won't make any escalators. He can't make first team, second team, this or that. Can't make any bonuses, so he won't lose all his paycheck for a year. But at least we know he won't get any of those incentives as well. We won't have to worry about seeing Ja at any All-Star game as well, because he's not an All-Star.
And then what's funny too is, think about this, for me, now that you kind of mentioned the incentives and so on and so forth, right? It also prevents, in many ways, Memphis from being able to tank, from being able to use Ja being gone. Like think about what Golden State did when Clay got hurt and when Steph was hurt for a little while, and they held him out, and that's how they got Wiseman and got the number 2 pick. See, if you let Ja out for the year, well, then you can tank and then try to get it and try to blame it on that and build it back up for when Ja comes back. But if you only got half a season, well, then by the time he comes back, well, then you more than likely got a chance to be able to kind of do something. And so then if you tank, well, now, we know that they're disincentivizing tanking and, that kind of stuff. So for me, it's punishment for both in many ways.
So basically, we got a full year and we got a half a year. So we kind of split on this decision, but we all do agree that Josh should be suspended. Well, one thing we know,
he definitely gonna get suspended. And
he has been suspended, but the thing is, how long? We think, I
wouldn't mind a half a season. But here's the most important thing here, that I'm looking at it from an owner's perspective. Ja, you bring in bad
juju,
bad mojo to our league, which in turns is going to reduce the amount, because if you don't have you got to suspend him, he's not going to be there. The attendance going to suffer, so Memphis going to suffer. So you making me lose money, right? So now I can go all nuclear with this and say that they also have the right, because technically they do, to void his contract. Now they'll never do it.
Yeah, he's too good for that.
Yeah, they'll never do it, because you void that contract. You void that contract. Now anybody can get him. He can go, and there's going to be an owner to say, you know what? Yeah, that was bad, but you should be on my team. And Knicks
he's too good, and he put too many butts in the seat. So.
Ja to Brooklyn for Ben Simmons.
Oh Lord. Oh Lord.
That's how you punish him. That's how you punish him. Trading for a guy who can't even shoot.
Hey, don't nobody deserve that type of punishment.
You punishing Memphis.
Yeah, Memphis doesn't deserve that type of punishment.
They don't deserve that now.
Like you said, right? Josh punishing Memphis and the owner, because now fans ain't coming, because he's doing the stupid stuff and getting suspended for however many games he's going to be. Like you said, we're out there throwing out our punishment. But like we just pointed out, Rod, the money that potentially will be lost will dictate, I think ultimately will dictate how long he will be suspended. And I think theoretically the NBA can probably suspend him for 10 to 15 games most.
And I think he should lose that Nike deal. I think Nike should go ahead and drop him.
Yeah, Nike, yeah, me too. All them endorsement deals. He got to get Gatorade.
You can't come with no 10-game suspension.
No.
You cannot come with a 10-game suspension. He has to, at the minimum,
25.
Half the season.
He has to feel it. He needs some kind of consequence to his actions. The reason he's doing what he's doing is because nobody's punishing him. That his fixers, like what's the lady like Scandal? His fixers come in. Okay, we're gonna send you down to Florida for a couple of days. You said you saw the light, and then we're gonna get you back in. Yeah, and go in there and say this and read the script, and you're good. And so he's like, oh, I ain't got to worry about messing up. I can do it again because my fixers will handle it. No, he has to be punished.
So
we're going to feel this.
So we're going to agree to say at least 20 games, guys. But at least, you know what? He might be suspended, but at least he still got a job. Right.
Yeah, man.
Off with the heads. Off with the heads, I say.
One of the annual things that go on in the NBA is off with the head coaches. This year,
NBA team.
It's kind of light this year. There's only 5 coaches this year. Usually it's like
June
7 or
yet.
8. That's true.
It ain't June yet.
Yeah, we're gonna get rid of
still hope
Smoke.
that well today. Yeah, there's still hope that we can get a new coach in New York also. But you got head coaching position in Toronto, a head coaching position in Milwaukee. There's a head coaching spot in Phoenix, in Detroit, and in today also in Philadelphia. So, fellas, can I tell you what my next grab? We asked we asked everybody who we think would fill these different coaching vacancies.
Mm-hmm.
And there's some wild cards out there.
Mm-hmm.
You got Kevin Ollie, who he's coaching in the G League, but at least Kevin Ollie did win a national championship in the NCAA.
Mm-hmm.
You have I don't even know what is it, Sergio? I can't even see that.
Sergio Scariolo, the Spanish
Scariolo.
national coach. Yes, sir.
Never heard of him.
Okay. He used to coach here in America. Used to be one of but anyway, that's why he's a wild card.
But he's a wild card. He's out there. His name has been mentioned. You got Jerry Stackhouse,
North Carolina, Tar Heels,
former Washington Wizard, Detroit Piston, great player for both teams. That's now the coach of Vanderbilt. He put in his dues in the NBA also. They got a head coaching job at Vanderbilt and was the SEC Coach of the Year.
Yes, sir.
Then you have Mr. JJ Redick.
Should have been national coach of the year.
Say what?
I said he should have been national coach of the year.
He should have been. I mean, taking the team like he did.
Yeah.
Then you have JJ Redick, in ESPN talking head, former NBA shooting guard. That's a hell of a shooter. But the only head coaching experience he has right now is coaching his 6-year-old son.
Oh, well, if that's the case, I should be on there. I coach my son.
Or 6th grade. I'm sorry, not 6-year-old, 6th grade son. But he's getting some because he's a talking head on ESPN. He's getting some interviews.
Mm-hmm.
And then you have Mark Jackson. Mark Jackson, who was former coach of the Golden State Warriors, who Steph Curry said was the reason why he was able to transform his career. But has yet to have another head coaching job since.
Did you see that? Man, well, y'all will see it on the highlights.
You interrupting Rodney's thought. You know
He always talking about the wild card.
Alzheimer's. You can't do that to him.
But anyway, so fellas, we got together. We talked about who we thought would be the. Y'all know how our predictions go.
Yeah,
we talked about who we predicted.
We do some predicting,
the head coach candidates that will receive these jobs from the different teams. As you can see, Dorian was injured.
I'm not good at this predicting thing.
It's sports hernia.
He got a
sports hernia.
Sports hernia. But I picked Monty Williams. Monty Williams, former coach of the Phoenix Suns, that every team wants and is interviewing. But for the Detroit Pistons, this is the only way you can go. Monty Williams is great. That's it, man.
That's for the Pistons. I gotta say, not for Monty Williams.
Oh, for the Pistons.
Oh, okay.
Come on, now.
The only way he can go is down.
Hey, man, the Pistons on their way up, man. Come on now.
Yeah. No, I'm saying the Pistons. The only way Pistons can go up is up, but Monty Williams,
I mean, who wants to coach Giannis though? Come on, man. Nobody want to coach Giannis. Come on over here. We got Cade Cunningham, Jaden Ivey. Come on, Jalen Duren. No, two. They were both on the second team all NBA rookie.
He trying to talk some sense into him.
Hey,
but they still had the worst record in the league. But anyway,
hey, Dorian, looking at that
Monty
chart,
would love to go there.
looking at the chart, Dab, seeing any team, just pick any one of those 5 teams in particular. Is there anybody now, you didn't get a chance to participate with that sports tournament that you would foresee that you would predict or see a coach going to? Just pick one team,
Actually, interestingly enough, I see it differently because of allegiances. I think Monty Williams will end up in Philly because he's got ties there. He played there, so on and so forth. I can see Stackhouse being hired to coach the Pistons. I can see the Spanish head coach coaching the Raptors essentially because of that international connection. Sam Cassell is also a good leading candidate, I think, in Philly because he's been there. I still don't know if Ty Lue is leaving.
Yeah, I don't think he's leaving either.
Yeah, I don't. So I don't know. I don't see him leaving the Clippers anytime soon, or the Clippers letting him go.
Yeah, I think the Clippers is a great job. So
the reason I say that is because Matt Ishbia has a bunch of money and is very willing to throw it around. And he would be more than happy to give the Clippers draft picks, whatever, if they have draft picks after the Kevin Durant trade, money or whatever. He's gonna make it very hard on the Clippers to say no, because this is just my feeling that again prediction that probably ain't gonna go right, but I'll go back to that. Go back to that one quick second.
Oh, I'm sorry, my brother.
D on the Jerry Stackhouse to the Pistons. Only problem with that is the Pistons actually have to interview him if they plan on hiring him, and they've yet to try to interview him. Yep. I would absolutely love Jerry Stackhouse in Detroit.
Yeah, that'd be a good idea.
But see, this is the thing for me though about when I look at this, I think about Phoenix, Milwaukee, and Philly. Mm-hmm. I don't see them hiring a brand new coach like a Jerry Stackhouse or a Kevin Ollie, or even Sergio Scarliola, because they have teams that they feel are ready to win. So they want to try to get one of these veteran head coaches. Like I think Budenholzer will end up with one of those jobs, one of those 3 jobs, because he's won an NBA Finals,
and the players will respect those coaches.
Yeah, exactly. On those particular teams. Yeah. See what I wonder. See, that's why I don't think Philly would necessarily hire Sam Cassell. Yeah, he's been there, but he's been there as an assistant coach. I think that they would want to hire somebody that would, So
he's been assistant to Doc Rivers, and the thing with Philly, which I meant to change my pick because Philly has decided pretty much they had the choice between James Harden and Doc Rivers, and they decided to go with James Harden. So by them picking James Harden, I'm pretty sure they're going to try to go for his old coach and bring D'Antoni in, and that's going to suck because D'Antoni and
that does not work for Embiid.
It's not going to work.
It's not. Yeah.
But they want Harden to stay. They need Harden to stay because if Harden walks, Philly might as well go ahead and trade Embiid because
but Embiid is more valuable than Harden. That's why I think the D'Antoni would be a bad hire.
Hey, Harden won D'Antoni so he don't have to play no defense. That's all that is.
The only thing about that, dudes, Embiid is not going anywhere. They're not going to trade him.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. So that's why I don't think they would bring D'Antoni in.
But the one they have to appease is Harden because they're trying to convince Harden to sign back with them. So what better way to get Harden to sign back with you than getting his favorite coach that allows him to jack up 70 shots a game and lose in the first round?
And that would be allow them to halt the plane to wait on him whenever he's late and all this.
Exactly.
I think that would be the ultimate wild card.
I don't think they'll do it.
Tony back in that to me too. But since we're on that same topic, fellas, on what these teams should do, yeah, buddy.
In many ways, the conversation kind of just flows right into this. I mean,
that's where we're going with this, right? Right, we gonna start
fishing, baby.
We're gonna talk about the Knicks last.
We're
No,
going.
no, the floor is yours, sir.
Let's stay with the Sixers since we was already talking about it.
Go back with the Sixers.
Let's stay with the Sixers.
Go
I think the Sixers. I think D'Antoni would be a bad choice because he wants to play outside. He don't even want to play outside in. He want to play outside. That's not gonna work. That's not gonna work for Embiid. The thing about Harden is that people want to talk about Doc Rivers being bad in closeout games. Why everybody wants to give James Harden all this credit? Oh, he's a former MVP. Okay, but he totally sucks when you need him.
Every year.
He has never shown up when you needed him in the playoff game.
Are y'all talking about Chris Paul or James Harden? Oh, my bad. Sorry.
When they were together, it was double trouble, right?
Yeah.
So neither one of them. So for me, Philly needs another score, another consistent score. They need some better players on the bench. And I think that they need a veteran head coach, somebody that's been there, like you said, somebody that they'll respect. Because if you can't respect Doc Rivers, then you're not gonna let Kevin Ollie come in there and do nothing. You're not finna let none of these young cats who haven't coached come in and do anything. It's got to be some type of grizzled veteran coach. Unfortunately, it's gonna be a retread, but I think that's what they're gonna have to have in Philly.
Dudes, what about the Warriors?
The Warriors, I think the Warriors going to have to make some changes. I don't think they're going to be able to stand pat. I think it's time for the Warriors.
Are you done with them, dudes?
I think it's time to make some changes. I think they could regroup on the fly though, because they have talent. Steph is anywhere. So
with the Warriors, you got the decision the Warriors have to make. Draymond Green has a player option. He can opt out, and more than likely he will because he wants the longer term contract. He doesn't want just a 1-year contract. So that's the first issue. The second issue is with Clay. Do you re-sign Clay? No, well, not re-sign him. Do you give him an extension? Because Clay is extension eligible. Do you give him an extension? Try to bring his cap number down, and that's really the only reason you would want to do that. Because you don't want Clay to have a $45 million cap hit. If you give him like a 3-year extension, 3-year $90 million contract, now you only at $30 million versus $45 million. So, but now you attach to him for an additional 2 years. So that's a thing they're gonna have to decide on. But the biggest thing is, what are you gonna do with the biggest problem child on your team?
I think he's gone.
But what you gonna do with him? That's the question. Who wants him after what he just did? His last playoff series.
I think he has enough talent though. I think he has enough talent that somebody will take him.
But it's more than just.
But it's just that it's. Well, I'm talking about what of course his asking. I mean his contract is very high. That's the issue.
What is it? 4 years, $160 million. They gave
no.
Yeah,
it's only 100 and only 100, but it's 128. It's 128.
So you guys talk about Poole, getting rid of Poole. What about Draymond Green?
128. Yep.
You keep Draymond. If you're gonna do anything, you keep Draymond. I keep Draymond over Poole.
Yes.
Yeah, I think Poole is gone. I think as far as Poole, like I said, he's talented enough for another team to take a flyer on him. So I think somebody will take him.
And then to be honest with you, that punch destroyed team chemistry.
It did.
It did.
It was no coming back from that.
Yeah, and so for whatever reason, so the thing is this is if you it's one or the other. You can't keep both of them.
Mm-hmm.
If you want to keep Poole, then Draymond got to go. If you want to keep Draymond, then Poole got to go. I think for around here, especially if you want to continue to put butts in the seats, Poole got to go.
Yeah,
he has to, because the thing about it, if you let Draymond go, Draymond's the heart and soul of that whole quote unquote dynasty that they had, that run that they had. without Draymond, you might as well go ahead and not. If you don't re-sign Draymond, then there's no reason to re-sign Clay. And then you just got Steph and Jordan Poole. You're not winning with Steph and Jordan Poole. It's not going to happen.
Draymond brings all the toughness and the mental edge to the team. So without him, it's
the Warriors also need to get some free agent height and size, and they need some more scoring off the bench. They gonna either have to let Kuminga and Moody let Kuminga and Moody play. Let them come off the bench and let them play, just do their thing, or you got to package them and bring in some kind of scoring off the bench. If you're not gonna let them play, don't just keep them and only play them sporadically. If you're gonna put them out there, let them come out there with the second unit, and actually let them play. That's the only way that they're going to get better.
Well, I think Steve Kerr found out that in that playoff, when Poole was messing it up everything, he found out that Moody can actually play, and the moment wasn't too big for Moody because Moody took a lot of Poole's minutes. So if they continue, if they have no choice but to trade Jordan Poole. Moody can go ahead and take some of those minutes. I'm not gonna say he's gonna give you 25 points a game like Poole can give you, every now and then. But Moody showed that he was a rebounder, that he was a defender, that he was a shooter, a scorer. He was playing ball, and without him, they really would have lost.
You got to get Kuminga some opportunities too.
Yeah, because Kuminga can play now.
So I guess the consensus is you get rid of Moody, guys. We spent a lot of time on the Warriors, so we got to get to Rodney's Knicks. So the consensus is we get rid of Poole. So on that, I'm gonna talk about the Suns, so we can let Rodney talk about them garbage Knicks. So with the Suns, it's interesting. Obviously, it starts with the new management. So you see there, of course, at the last playoff game, Matt Ishbia was there with his buddy Isaiah Thomas. So it's a lot of rumblings going on around town here, guys. James Jones may be losing his job. So Isaiah may be taking over operations as executive officer there. And what you see up there are some of the predictions of some of the guys, that here locally have been thrown around as far as possible candidates for the Suns coaches. Now, regardless of who they comes in to coach, the coach ain't the problem. The problem, kind of what we're talking about, we all know, is they got to do something, get rid of Aiden, and they have to lose Chris Paul's contract. So those are going to be the two main priorities for the Phoenix Suns, or what to do with Chris Paul and DeAndre Ayton's contract. I'm going to keep it very simple, very short there. That's what Phoenix has to do, so I can get this show back over to Rod, because we love hearing about them Knicks.
Well, let me talk about your Suns first.
Go ahead.
They need a veteran coach too.
I just live here.
Yeah.
You see the jersey behind dudes.
The fact that Jake, what's his name? Landale?
Yeah, Jock Landale. Jake Landale.
The fact that he had to be the center during the playoffs shows exactly what Phoenix needs. They had nobody in the middle that could do anything with Joker whatsoever.
No bench.
No bench whatsoever. No bench. So, and now it's going to be
149 million at the cap.
James Jones did a great thing by trading for Kevin Durant. I mean, you can't fault this man for going all in.
Well, Matt Ishbia made him make that move first and foremost. That was his big rock coming into the league. They also traded the bench. You see, we had to give up. Okay, boss, I get you KD, but we're gonna give up two great players in Cam and Mikal Bridges. That's what came down to.
But Dante, it wasn't a problem with them trading Cam and trading.
It wasn't.
That wasn't the problem.
Bridges, but they have no bench.
Where the problem came in, when they made those trades, they didn't. You had all these players that were getting bought out of their contracts after the trade deadline. You didn't go out there and get nobody. And the ones you did go get, you didn't play them. Which was the issue. TJ Warren was a 25-point-a-game scorer in Indiana.
Yep,
and you don't even let him play.
CJ Warren also used to play in Phoenix, and we know what he can do and what he can't do. Don't forget
you
that.
had Terrence Ross.
Mhm.
Terrence Ross is a baller.
Yeah.
What?
Chance Ross.
Y'all
Where?
didn't let him play. Well, you
Yeah.
don't know because you ain't let him play.
Exactly. He's a scorer. He was a scorer for Orlando. Yeah.
Yeah, he was a
Orlando.
scorer.
Yeah.
But the biggest issue was you already knew that Chris Paul was going to be hurt in the playoffs, and
Yeah.
if you didn't know that
They
already,
should have addressed that in the offseason.
in the offseason.
Yeah.
Campaign is cool. He's a good third point guard.
Yeah, third point guard. Yeah.
But he
Third
should
point
not be starting. He should, he should be getting 10 minutes a game.
And
But
like you said,
they didn't go out there and get that backup point guard.
yeah. And you
So
already knew Chris Paul was going to be hurt.
Which I always thought they should have went out and tried to get Derrick Rose. But like you said, right, and when you can go out and buy some of these expiring contracts, they made no move to get backup for Chris Paul.
They didn't.
That was horrible.
That was their downfall. Chris Paul, again, everybody and their mama know Chris Paul just like taxes. It's guaranteed every year.
And remember what their original backup plan for DeAndre Ayton was? That was Bismack for $1 million that they signed him in under that. So again, the Suns made some horrible moves, but they also cash strapped because of the trades and everything they did. And not only like the other thing you said, Rodney, they traded all these guys out and they traded away all their picks. The Suns, they're at the cap, $149 million. It's going to be hard to rebuild that roster. So
they never did address the Ayton situation.
What do you mean we didn't?
Monty Williams with the whole offseason and him and Ayton didn't speak. They went to the whole beginning of the season. Him and Ayton didn't speak at all. So they went the whole season without fixing that situation. And I think that was part of the downfall as well. Monty
Williams wasn't the only one that didn't speak to Ayton hoe ass. Excuse my French. Chris Paul never liked him when he came here. When Chris Paul first came over, he had an issue with Ayton's softness, especially with the pick and roll.
Everybody did, but hold on, Dante. This is what I'm saying. It's the coach's job to manage this.
I understand what you're saying.
He ignored everything. He was like, "Oh, I'm just not going to speak to this guy, and we're just going to win." In spite of this situation. No, you have to address that situation and manage it.
Here's the thing, dudes. It's not like Monty Williams. We hear that in public that they didn't talk, but no, he's the coach. You got to see the coach. You're going to talk to him all the time.
No, Monty said he didn't talk to him, and DeAndre Ayton said he didn't talk to him. So,
but I'm saying I understand on the off the court. But when you're in that locker room, you're on the bench, you're going to look at DeAndre Ayton and say, toughen up or do something. You're going to talk. You're going to have communication. But this goes back to the whole point. There's videos and everything of nobody shaking hands with Ayton and this and that. He can't do anything about it because, going back to James Jones, re-signed him when they should have let him go. That's the problem. They got stuck with his contract.
Yeah.
It wasn't even a point of re-signing him. They had no choice but to re-sign him.
Yeah, they didn't have any choice because they didn't deal with it last season.
Exactly. He should have done it the season before.
The previous season,
right? Yeah. When Indianapolis put it in a bid for him.
No. I'm talking about the season before that.
No.
Indianapolis
okay.
Put an offer in
before
this
they
year.
gave back.
Yeah. Once he was a restricted free agent and Indianapolis they gave him that offer sheet. They had no choice but to match the offer because if they let him go, they had nothing. Yeah. You can't just let that number one pick leave and you get nothing.
Hey, isn't that ironic? Isn't that ironic? They didn't trade him and he still got nothing.
Hey.
Right.
You absolutely right with that one, bro. There is no rebuttal for that. There is no rebuttal for that one.
But they could have got something though.
They should have got something.
Like enough of the Suns. I want to hear about these Knicks.
The Knicks
What's
need
the problem with the
Knicks? Okay, let me say this.
The Knicks got nothing.
First and foremost, I do have to say that the Knicks actually had a very good season, right?
Nothing from nothing. It was better. Nothing.
It was better than we thought.
True.
But only we wanted really at the beginning of the season, all we wanted was, hey, let's win a playoff series. That was if we win a playoff series, we showing progress. However, once you get into the playoffs and you beat Cleveland the way you beat Cleveland, and now we have home court advantage in the second round of the playoffs, You have to expect to win. And the problem that we have a player on our team by the name of Julius freaking Randle, who decided that he didn't want to play in the playoffs at all.
What's his name, Rodney? Say it again, Rodney.
Julius freaking Randle.
Julius freaking.
Y'all got a DeAndre Ayton. Y'all got a DeAndre Ayton in New York. What?
No, he is better than DeAndre Ayton. All right. But he had the problem with Julius Randle is that he has hollow stats. Yes, you gave me 25 points during the season. Yes, you gave me 10 rebounds during the season. Yes, you gave me 4 assists during the season. And for because of those stats, you made 13 All NBA. But when the play-ins actually counted, when it mattered the most in the playoffs, Julius Randle was nowhere to be. This brother shot 30%. He had the worst 3-point percentage rate in the history of the NBA playoffs for somebody that shot as many shots as he did. I mean, just absolutely horrendous. And the problem it's not even the point. Look at Jason Tatum. Jason Tatum in game 6 was broke. 1 for 14, broke. Fourth quarter.
But he redeemed himself.
When they about to be eliminated, the brother came through and redeemed himself. 4-6 from 3 and put him into game 7. Then they came out and just killed him. He got 51 in game 7. Showed heart. Julius Randle, when his shot is not going in, just leaves the game completely.
He might walk out of the stadium.
Now I am not a Stephen A. fan. I am not a Stephen A. fan. Stephen A. gets on my nerves. However, I completely agree with Stephen A. when he said Julius Randle needs to be traded and need to be traded right now. You cannot win with him. There's no reason to even consider trying to win. Can't do it. With him.
Can't do it.
Now here's my proposal, and this is something that I can't even take credit for it. I'm just gonna reiterate what was said. But on the Detroit Sports Radio, they said if the Pistons don't get number 1, let's trade whatever pick for Julius Randle. By all means, y'all can have him. Please, please, please come get Julius Randle. You didn't got to give me the number 5 pick. I take the first pick in the second round.
How you gonna want the Knicks to send Julius Randle to the Pistons and you got season tickets to the Pistons? So now you want to go watch him play.
No,
so
at least you can turn off the TV. At least you can turn off the TV.
Hey,
you can turn off the TV and now watch. You got tickets to go to the game.
Hold
and
up,
I
D.
know.
Hold up, D. You root for who? San Francisco while you're out there in the Bay Area, right?
No, not really.
Yes, you do.
I still don't like the 49ers.
But you a big fan.
I was a Golden State fan before I moved out here.
You're a Bengal fan. So you do whatever you can to support your team. If this supports my team, I'll suck it up and I'll watch this lazy ass play here in Detroit. I don't care.
You want to cuss him out in person.
We don't want him. My Pistons, we do not want him.
Look,
hey, Rod,
I don't care, man.
You can be like my guy.
Whatever.
You can be like my guy Clipper Terrell out in LA.
Seriously though, Julius Randle is the laziest quote unquote superstar you will ever meet in history.
That's just because Aiden's not a superstar.
I disagree. We have a mediocre man out here. Not a mediocre man.
How do you not motivated for a playoff game? Please explain that one to me. How does someone have to motivate you for a playoff game? You should come out there already ready to do whatever it takes to win that basketball game. But you got to have somebody motivate you.
How much money does Julius Randle make, Rodney?
Julius Randle, he did sign a pretty team-friendly contract. He only makes like $25 million, but it's still $25 million.
Oh, $25 million too much.
It's still $25 million. But
See what I'm saying?
here's the problem.
He makes 25, 8 makes 30. Neither one are worth that money.
Here's the problem, though, Dante.
$999,999.99.
We got 4 more years of Julius Randle.
Mm.
That's the issue. So the only thing we can do, no, seriously, the only thing we can do, we need a number 2 scorer. I can live with RJ. RJ
He played
is my
terrible
third.
too.
I can live with RJ. We got a number 1 great point guard who was gifted to us by Dallas, and we appreciate y'all. Y'all letting Brunson come to New York. We appreciate you, but we got to get a number 2, and I would prefer a number 2 that's either give me Dame Lillard, and I have the greatest backcourt ever put together.
Small one.
It's gonna have the shortest backcourt.
It's gonna be small, but can't nobody outscore it though. And I hate even saying it, but I take him over Julius Randle all day long. Cat. I take that, y'all.
No,
take Cat.
Don't do it.
So
bro.
we
You don't want
gonna
to
let
get
that,
3-point big man in
Rodney
the
digress.
NBA.
We're gonna let
I'll
Rodney
take
digress.
that.
Cat in Detroit.
We just
And
gonna say Rodney's he's depressed right now. He's
Right, because we should
depressed,
really
man.
move on from
Let's
this
get Rodney
conversation
back
just
at
because of that.
It's
Let's
depressing.
get Rodney
But I
back.
take Cat, man. I take him. Y'all can have Julius Randle. D, call your Minnesota Connect and tell them come get Julius Randle from us. Oh, anyway, on to some more satisfying.
Why you on the right?
I still gotta go
Let's get
visit.
some happier news.
On to some more satisfying news. Even though my Cardinals are still, I think, in last place,
Oh my god.
Well.
they've been playing a whole lot better. Yeah, we still in last place. We have games back. However, we have been playing a whole lot better. The last 10 games were 7-3, and those 10 games included 3 straight from Boston. So Dante has a graphic for us. Dante, talk to us.
Well, Rodney, from like last weekend, I was following and watching the game, the baseball series with the Red Sox. But as you saw the headliner there, Rodney, as I had it up, let me put that back on the screen if you could for me. Battle of the bullshit bullpens. Rodney, if you thought our bullpen was bad, this past weekend, you'd have thought Boston was switching off guys with us. They blew 2 games that they should have won. Hey, the Cardinals are on a winning streak that they should not be on, first and foremost. But hey, we'll take it. And after giving Milwaukee the beat down, 18, the bats are alive, Rodney. That's the good thing. The bad thing, like I said, we still in last place, 17-25. Even after that 7 out of 10, 4-game winning streak, they won 7 out of the last 10. But the good thing, the optimism, Rodney, we only 6.5 games out of first place.
Well, 7.5 we lost tonight.
But as Rodney would say, and I quote, but here's the problem.
Adam ain't right.
Adam ain't right. Stick a fork in him. He's done. You see that game? That's from the weekend series against Boston, guys. You see what stands out. I had just going to put that up there just to show you. He has a 7.2 ERA guy. He's the worst pitcher on our staff and makes the most money. But like we say in other sports, you can't do nothing with him. You can't trade him. Ain't nobody. That's his ERA
for the season.
For the season, brother. Hey, look down the list. Hey, look at all the other pitchers' ERAs, Dorian.
Yeah, they ain't doing too much.
Staff, remember? They suck ass. Remember the Cardinals pitching staff sucks ass. Remember that whole little image. You don't want me to put that back.
Yeah, no. We remember.
We remember. No, we don't. No, you're right. You're absolutely right.
So that's still the problem, as Rodney likes to say. The pitching staff still sucks, but at least the bats are alive. So we got to score 18 runs because our bullpen gonna give up 10.
Okay, so to Wainwright's defense, he has been hurt for most of the season.
He always hurt.
And he's only pitched 10 innings. Now, he has given up, 7 runs in those 10 innings. But, hey, it's only been 10 innings. So, hopefully.
And he's still
I'm being the optimist. I'm being the optimist. If we can keep going 7-3 every 10 games, man, we'll be back in this thing before you know it.
Like I said, we only 6.5 out. If we can catch up before the All-Star break, before 4th of July, I feel a little better. But the pitching staff got to turn around. Wainwright throwing. Hey, what they called them little pitchers when we grew up? Wainwright out there throwing sucker balls. He can only go 5 innings. That's the problem. But just last week, you said blow the squad up. I say blow up Wainwright.
Unfortunately, we're not going to be able to rely on this pitching staff as is. So, what you call him? Mosleyak. Mosleyak have to go out here.
Where you at, Mosleyak? And that's the problem with the Cardinals, man. They like to hang on to the hometown heroes too long. Wainwright is always hurt, always. But he still commands the biggest payroll of their entire roster. They can't trade him because he's always hurt. Like you just said, he's only pitched 10 innings because he's always hurt. But he's still getting his money to pitch 4.5 innings, throwing sucker balls. I'm dead serious. Yeah. Any one of us four can go up there and hit Adam Wainwright deep. I'm not being facetious. We could. He throws a 80-mile-an-hour sucker ball.
All I know is that as I'm looking at Major League ERAs, number 67 on page 3 stops at Jordan Lyles with a 7.14 ERA. So Wainwright ain't even on the list. However, what I will say is that my Reds are currently in 3rd place. We out of the last 10 games, we 6-4. So hopefully, if we can keep playing, y'all talking about keep playing at 7-3. Hey, if we can keep playing at 6-4, the Reds might be all right too. But what my man out Randy Quaid, they'll blow it in the playoffs.
Man, the Cardinals are 7-14 at home. You got the whole serve at home, man. Come on now.
But the Reds are 7-14 away.
But that's on the road though. You expect
you know 12-9 at home.
The National League Central
7-14 at home.
The National League Central is actually garbage, guys.
Yeah, it's pretty trash this year. It's pretty trash. Let's move on. I don't want to talk about
if not for the Braves, the AL East would be trash. I'm sorry, the NL East. Sorry, if it weren't for the Braves, the NL East would be terrible. But anyway, yeah.
So it's what 1, 2. No, I'm sorry. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. There's only 5 teams in the NL that are above 500. That's horrible.
That's crazy.
Horrible.
That's horrible. So anyway,
moving on to the sport we have not talked about at all this year.
At all.
Track and field.
No, I just I just want to give a shout out to Sha'Carri Richardson, man, for coming back and redeeming herself as far as performance is concerned. Hopefully, she'll continue improving and getting better. Those two races that I saw on tape, man, she was blazing. Great start, great finish. Huh?
You saying that she redeemed herself. Tell us what she's redeeming herself from.
Oh, what Stephen A say? The weed. The weed. She couldn't lay off of it. During the U.S. Olympic trials and ended up getting suspended, and so therefore didn't go to the Olympics. And she compounded it really by talking. And that's the problem that I kind of have with her. Although, like I said, I'm really happy for her. I hope this is an upward trend and that she continues to get better. But at the same time, she got to quit with these interviews and laying all of this blame and all this kind of stuff on other people. Just go ahead, run your race,
stay humble.
Stay, do your thing, stay humble. Be confident. You don't even necessarily have to be humble, so to speak. There's nothing wrong with being confident. But just quit trying to lay blame. Go ahead, take responsibility, and just keep doing what you're doing. That's how you redeem yourself. But I think she's definitely on her way to doing that as far as her performance is concerned, and that's what I'm really happy about, because she was getting her doors blown off when she first came back.
From the
But now
weed.
she's doing very well. As a matter of fact, the race I saw, she blew the doors off one of the Jamaican runners, one of the Jamaican women. So she's really making a name for herself overseas in the Diamond League. So just wanted to give a shout out to Kari Richardson.
So first of all, we know why she got suspended, got tested positive for the weed. But first of all, I gotta commend anybody that can smoke the weed and run track and be breaking world records. Your lungs gotta be like, damn. Come on, I can barely walk out the front door. And this girl running track and field. But more so, like Dorian was saying, I'm glad to see her back. She's very confident. Of course, Dorian did say, he liked to see her not talk so much or say so much on certain interviews. But with her coming back, I actually watched her first meet at the Doha Classic, where she came back and won that race. But here's some pictures, guys, I want to show you. There was a lot of controversy with her coming back on the track scene. So one of the things that occurred when after she won the race in Doha, that's what you see on the left, she basically came out and started going off on the promoters for that race and some things that have been occurring. So you see it on the right, and like Dorian said, the picture on the left, the girl came and stuck a mic right in her face right after she got through running, so you couldn't even understand what she was saying. So she had to go on her Instagram a few days later and basically saying, plain English, what was going on in regards to her not being allowed to run in Botswana nor in Kenya. And that's where a kind of little side story we'll talk about later comes in with the ugly truth of track and field. But here are the guys, these are the promoters. They actually went on and tried to, explain themselves, which basically turned out to be a lie, as to why Richardson wasn't allowed to run in those previous races prior to the next race she would run on Sunday. So they said, they claimed that they actually talked to her because Shelly Ann Fraser-Price, speaking of Jamaicans, she actually was hurt. She was supposed to be in these races this past weekend, but wasn't there. So the problem came with none of these promoters, knowing that Richardson was back, even offered her the opportunity to run in the 100. So she had issues with that. So basically, she just ran her 200 races or whatnot. So what ended up happening? Well, you see it right there. She ended up winning that 200 meet. But one of the things that I enjoyed after, she won that race is one of the things Dorian was talking about is her interviews. And I like what she had to say after that. I'm going to show y'all a little piece of this.
I thought she was going to say love, peace.
At those middle and long distances. And here is Sha'Carri Richardson, women of the 200 meters.
Sha'Carri.
Sha'Carri.
Get it right. Let the world know you back. So that was a little more detail behind this past weekend with the race and her returning. It's almost like, it's not almost like, from what she's basically claiming, she's kind of being blackballed from being able to compete in these 100-meter races because she's smoking everybody or whatnot. So again, that kind of goes back to the track and field. There's politics involved. They stack up who they want to race against who. And that goes a lot to, the branding, the marketing, who their sponsors are, how they make their money. So that's something we're going to throw up as a little link to check out a couple stories on YouTube in regards to track and field and the ugly truth behind it. That kind of goes back to explain why she, was so adamant and had so much animosity against the promoters. And like she said, all her haters in a nutshell. So definitely glad to see her back. Waiting to see, these next races. My computer went down to see my screen, but a couple of them coming up in Europe. I just hope to see the girl, in France for this next big competition that's coming up. So again, happy to see Miss Sha'Carri back in action.
Sha'Carri. Real quick again. I just wish these folks would just stay off of social media, man. With stupid stuff. Just stay off of it. You're not serving yourself any good by doing it. But I digress. D, you had something?
No, I didn't have anything. That just proved why folks need to stay off the mic.
Ironically, for track and field stars, they got to stay on social media just to put a name out so they can make money. So again, that's a little side note we'll add to our website for links for people to go check out the ugly truth about track and field. They don't make money unless
you want to make money. You want to make
and they're
money.
not pros. Hey, and they're not pros. That's another thing. They're all amateurs. So moving on to Rodney's one of our favorite topics, back to the NFL. So who you got an issue? Former players owning teams? You got an issue, Rodney? What's going on?
Well, it's not that I have an issue. But one of the things that came out, another thing came out this past week, is a story about one Thomas Brady. Y'all might have heard of him. He used to play quarterback in New England and down in Tampa. But Thomas, who already has a contract, a 10-year contract to broadcast for Fox. I think it's 10 years, 345 million or something like that. 365 million, whatever it is a lot.
Yeah, it's like 375 million, something like that. Yeah.
Whatever it is a lot. But he already has his contract to broadcast, to be one of the broadcasters for Fox. But he decided he wasn't going to do that until 24. But the story that came out this week is that he's actually considering becoming considering a partnership with Mark Davis to become a part owner of the Las Vegas Raiders. So the question is, should Mr. Thomas be allowed to continue broadcasting if he's a part owner of an actual NFL franchise? Mr. D?
Dorian, start with you. We'll get back to Dorian. My opinion is, you're looking up to Jesus again. My opinion is, as long as there's no collusion, he's, like I said, he's a broadcaster. He's not in the front office. He's not in the booth. He's out there talking about other games. So as long as he's not allowed to, per se, I guess, broadcast any games of a team he may be on, because he might be slanting or saying some things, poo-pooing his own team, then yeah, that would be a problem. But I don't see a problem with it, right? Yeah, you can own a business and still have another job.
No, but this is where I have the problem, though, because part of the job of the broadcasters is to show up on Thursdays of game week to talk to the coaches, and they pretty much get an idea of what the game plan is going to be for that year, for that game. So who's to say that he doesn't do a game of San Diego to get their game plans and get all the inside information and give that back to Las Vegas coaches. So not to say that he's going to do that, but you leave yourself open for that possibility. Just like, we were talking about the gambling. It's in a lot of cases it's legal, and for him to have a second job should not be. It's not something that's illegal. He should be able to do that. However, when you have the appearance, the ability to have an impropriety, you don't want that appearance to be there at all. So the fact that he is possibly a part owner of this football team, he could actually go out and get information on these other football teams and give back to his team. That's an unfair advantage for him that other teams don't have. They don't have broadcasters going out, doing all this stuff.
Well, I guess the question is, Rodney, is there a rule in the NFL that disallows it?
But there's not. That's the thing.
We gotta answer that question. But so he would be basically setting precedent that the NFL should be looking at. This is a great question. I see your answer.
It wasn't if he could, it's should he.
It should he. But if there's no rule, then I guess he can.
Yeah, he can. He can.
There's nothing against owning a business and having another job.
Dorian, you've been thinking for a long time.
Yeah, it's a hard question. I agree with, again, Dante was kind of thinking along the same lines. I was thinking, like, I don't see why not, as long as there's no collusion or whatever. And then, but then when you start thinking about the idea, I think what happens is that, as we say, perception becomes the reality, right?
Mm-hmm.
So even though it may not be happening, there may be the perception that it's happening, right? So, if there's, again, if there happens to be one little thing, then we have our conspiracy theorists who going to start talking about he deflated balls.
Exactly.
And then he had, such and such, video gate or whatever they called it, deflate gate. And then they had the whole thing with the videotaping, and then they're going to try to talk about the Patriots are always cheating. So, of course, why wouldn't he cheat? And, and then, the Raiders was always about if you ain't cheating, you ain't trying. So I can see where that perception could become reality. I think they're going to have to, if he becomes part owner and he still wants to do that, because I don't see why he couldn't. They're going to have to put some really strict rules in place.
This could be precedent. Hey, Dorian, I thought it was interesting.
He's not going to be able to do his own games, because that's kind of the only way. That's kind of the only way that works is if he talks to somebody and they're about to play his team, and then he gives them the game plan. So he just wouldn't be able to do games that involve his team, or even games. I would say games in the conference, or any games in that season where his team plays.
Yeah, that makes sense. But Dorian, real quick, you brought up something I forgot about: Deflategate and all the videotaping in New England, the cheating in there, and now, like you said, to go to Vegas. And what's Vegas' old slogan? If you ain't cheating, you ain't trying.
You ain't cheating, you ain't trying.
Outfitting that Tom Brady, who was accused of cheating, goes to a team historically known for cheating. It's perfect.
Just win. Just win, baby.
Just win, baby.
So, dudes, wasn't that you that sent that picture of Lester Hayes?
Lester Hayes, the stick him.
Stick him all on.
The stick him.
All on his elbows. Hey, real quick, game break. The
Lakers got back into the game
by 18 or only down by 3.
Yeah, they're back into the game.
Well, they down 6. I'm looking at they down 6. It's 127, 121.
Well, it's 129, 124 now. So you behind a little bit. So anyway, but yeah, again, it's the perception. The slightest perception of them having anything that might be considered unfair should be taken into account. And like I said, right now, Dante, they don't have a rule for it. Which is fun. You know what? They have a rule for owners. You can't own a team and play on a team. They should have let Jordan play. Be able to play for the Carolina Hornets. The Charlotte Hornets.
You keep it to the state. Keep it to the city of the state. Don't try to name the team. He called the Suns the Spurs earlier, or tried to call the Spurs the Sun. Yeah, don't just name the city, right? We know what you mean.
I'm tired, y'all.
But he is like 73 years old.
They have a rule against the owner, which I don't understand that, but what's his name? Little boy. In his commercial, he changed that. Kevin Hart when he bought the team.
Little boy.
All them little boy.
When he bought the team, he decided he changed the rules, allowed himself to play, get 5 minutes of playing time. So that's about it on Brady. But the next thing we want to talk about, sticking in the NFL, is one of our favorite topics, and because we love when we talk about black ownership. And guess what, y'all?
What?
We had black ownership. We talked about it earlier.
Been invaded.
When Magic became a part owner of the Washington Commanders. But Dante, whatever happened to that $7 billion bid that Brian Davis made?
What happened?
So
what happened was.
So, gentlemen, this goes back to, I can't remember what episode, Rodney, when we posed this question, when you asked, would the NFL sell to, black ownership in the NFL, would they sell to a black majority owner? Because remember, everybody's hype, like you said, oh, it's Magic. He's just the front face for a Josh Harris group, which Rodney just explained to his earlier guys, that if it wasn't for the fact the NFL didn't like the Snyders, they wouldn't even sold to these two particular guys that you see there. Which brings back the question, what happened to the $7 billion offer made by Dorian's guy? Where's the Dookies billions?
Dookies.
The Dookies. Where is it? So I've been following this all season or whatever since we've been talking about this, Rod. Why wasn't Davis's bid to purchase the Commander? I mean, it's been downplayed. You don't hear nothing else about it in the media. Just squashed, disappeared. That's why I had the X music going on back in the background. A brother can't own a team. So again, Rodney, this goes back to that episode, maybe 3 or 4 episodes back when we brought up black ownership, especially in the NFL. This is my whole point, what I've been saying, what it comes down to. Not at this table.
Wow, Lord. Wow.
Not at this table. That's my analogy. Remember the money? Remember the money, guys? So
He gonna get us all sent to hell.
hey,
We're done
hey,
here.
like it, blame it on the book.
Cancel. Be canceled.
Help me out, Rod.
We can't.
Oh,
I can't.
so as Rod says, here's the question.
We all going to hell. We all going to hell.
So, I know, guys, it's funny. So this is why I brought this back up. So
I'm wearing my church suit the next episode.
we're gonna get baptized. So, gentlemen, in all serious talk, I want to get through this quick.
Okay, go ahead.
If Josh
Go ahead,
Harris
Gabriel.
offer was for 6.5 whatever billion, right?
Uh-huh.
Mr. Davis offered $7 billion. So all that time that we've been waiting for them to decide what's going on, like Rodney said, they didn't really like Josh Harris' group, how they had their money together and all this. But you had a $7 billion offer that Wells or Bank of America certified and everything from Davis, a black man. So what it ultimately came down to is, hey, you got 31 other team owners. That's $24 million apiece in their pocket. We don't need that extra $1 billion. We can cover that ourselves. And that's what it ultimately came down to. That's my personal opinion of what happened to Brian Davis's $7 billion offer. We are not allowed to sit at the table as a majority owner. You can be Magic all you want, but we ain't sitting at that table, gentlemen.
But you know what, Dante? The actual bid, you're right. They never really talked about that bid. There were 2 owners that said that they thought that the Commanders could command that the Commanders would be able to generate $7 billion as a sales price.
Mm-hmm.
There were 2, and the reason they thought that is because it was already out there. They already knew about this offer that Brian Davis had out there, and the fact that Bank of America did certify that he had the funds available, and the fact that he offered to give him $1 billion as an earnest money deposit and another $6 billion in a week,
and give him indemnity
and
any problems he had there at the stadium.
Exactly, and also to indemnify him from any future lawsuits that may come about towards the Commanders. All right, for his time at the Commanders.
Dude, I'm running to the bank with that deal.
The fact that they don't even mention that deal does present some questions. Let's just say, because again, you talking about $34 billion. Oh, that's $34 million apiece.
$24 million apiece for 31 owners makes up that billion. So they say, we don't need his money. Basically, what it came down to.
That's to a billionaire may not be that much money. However, to your average person, that's a bunch of money. That's a bunch of money.
24 million to a billion.
One thing you do know about billionaires is if they got billions of dollars, they still want more.
True that.
So it begs the question. For the first time in the history of our production in these 13 episodes, I'm going to agree with Dante and say something don't smell right about now.
It's racial. It's racial.
And
It's
guys,
racial.
like I said, we're going to post up a link. It's basically Brian Davis's wealth. He actually did a 15, 20-minute interview, which you can go listen to and watch, and having to explain himself to all these other radio shows and hosts that he went on, basically questioning his money, his knowledge, which I found very offensive myself. But we're going to add those links to our website and, of course, after the show and on our YouTube, because I definitely want our followers and our fans to go out and actually listen to this interview and how he had to explain where his wealth came from.
Lucy,
Man's a genius. He's been doing it for years.
Explaining to do.
Yep. So I definitely had to put that back up there, Rodney. To see, I told you, we ain't sitting at that table, bro. But anyway, moving on.
Roger, you got some explaining to do.
I don't want to show it no more. Get it out of there. No, we don't need him no more.
All right, and so our next up. Now we talked about this last week where
Oh Lord.
we just couldn't
had us fired up last week. Not really.
We couldn't come to an agreement, but WNBA season starts on May the 19th. What is that? Sunday, Saturday, or Friday? That's Friday.
Friday, yeah.
Yeah, May 19th is Friday. But one of the things that we were talking about last week, Dante claims that the WNBA would be folding within the next 2 years.
I said it should fold within the next 2 years. I didn't say will. It should, based on some stuff I said there, y'all.
But one thing we did find out this week is that there's actually they're not folding; they actually might be expanding. So, Dorian, what's your thoughts about the WNBA and potential expansion?
I think it's great for the league if they can, sustain it. I think it shows that the NBA is not going to let it fail. I think it's a very bad PR move and would look very bad for the NBA if they allowed the WNBA to fail. And so, from everything that I've read, and I was even watching a documentary this weekend. I'm not quite sure if it was about the New York Liberty or if it was about the WNBA in particular. Where they were talking about salaries and the need to increase salaries and so on and so forth. But it was also in that documentary that Adam Silver, and they were basically talking about the fact that they had no intention of allowing the WNBA to fold because they want to continue to promote the women's game. They just need to find better ways to generate revenue. It was some very interesting things that they talked about how when the WNBA kind of first came about, and how everything was great. And then when it lost its buzz, lost that big buzz that it initially had, that a lot of the owners started trying to pushing them to the side. Like, for example, Dolan, your boy, Rodney, they said that
we don't like Dolan. We don't like Dolan. But go ahead.
When the New York Liberty first started playing that year, remember they were the first the WNBA champions.
Reese Witherspoon
and Rebecca Lobo. And they were playing in Madison Square Garden. And then after, after they said 3 or 4 years or something, when it kind of that initial luster kind of wore off, they moved them out to the Westchester Arena that only had 2,000 seats in it. So it was one of them kind of things. So I think it's good, again, just to to answer the question. I think it's good for the game. Hopefully they'll be able to expand, and hopefully they'll be able to promote it and sustain it. I think that's what's most important, because it's only 12 teams now.
It's 12
or 14 teams. They need more. I'm surprised they don't have one out here in the Bay. So they need some other places and some other big cities where they can get some fans to the game in order to grow it.
So what you just mentioned about how Dolan moved them to Westchester. But first, nobody goes to Westchester anyway. Anybody going out there?
That was one of the things that they were saying. Yeah.
But the thing is, I do think that one of the big issues, perception wise, why it looks like the WNBA doesn't do anything is because they're playing in these big, huge NBA arenas.
Mm-hmm.
you know, a $4,000 seat stadium would actually be something that would benefit the ladies. First off, the cost per game would probably be a lot cheaper than these big NBA stadiums. But you can get, because you have, it's like going to a high school basketball game. The crowds will look better.
Right.
You know, it's going to look like the stadium is full versus having a stadium that, you know, you don't even go to the upper deck. So that would be a good thing to have. And in conjunction, you can use those same stadiums for like concerts. You don't want to put every concert in a 30,000 seat stadium. You know, them 4,000 or 5,000 seat stadiums would be great. So they generate income, additional income for the league or what have you. So that's one of the things that I thought about when it comes to the WNBA. But as far as promoting the game, they don't. You're right. That's one of the biggest issues. They don't really promote the game. The only time you hear about the WNBA is at the end of the women's college basketball season.
No, at the end of the NBA playoffs.
That's when you start hearing about the WNBA.
But expansion would also open up the WNBA for more players.
Yep.
To be on more rosters. Well, check it out. I'm looking at the tweet that says we need more teams. These players deserve to be on a roster. I didn't even look at that until I just thought about that. That more teams, because the WNBA draft is so short. It take them about an hour and they done because they only got 2 rounds, so they only drafted 24 players. Come on, it's 3 rounds. It's thousands of women's college basketball players in the country, and you only draft 24. Yeah, you need more teams.
So again,
3 rounds. All right.
This goes back to our previous discussion. So if you read the comments by those 2 basketball players, the top one says these players deserve to be on the roster. So again, there's only 144 players total in the WNBA. So that's one of the first problems. But then when you look at Rebecca Lobo's solution, they've been waiting for expansion forever. And I got some notes and some stuff, guys, that'll blow your mind. Like I said, the WNBA has been around for 27 years. It's been 15 years since they had the last franchise come in the league, which is the Monarchs. 2010 is when they went to 12 teams. So now you're looking at, like Rebecca Lobo saying, she'll keep saying this until May or probably after. This keeps coming up. But you see her what she's proposing there? Again, it's back to the rosters, like Dorian said. All these girls coming out, there's not enough teams for them to go to. So that's why, again, we were talking about last week, a lot of them go overseas. But we pointed out the problem is there's not enough financial stability from the NBA to help expand the WNBA, which is why I reiterate and tried to point out, I think the WNBA will fold. They just had this exhibition game in Toronto this past weekend. Yeah, the commissioner, that was a picture of her giving that speech on expansion and all this. It's just talk. So I don't see this per se happening with all the problems that they have financially. And again, the WNBA, they say they talk big talk, but we see they are having problems. The NBA can help them with the marketing problem, give them money for marketing, but they don't. But this leads to something else. We're talking about the WNBA was talking about expansion, but now they're running into other problems, guys, because of the rosters and because it's a cutthroat league. This happened today. Becky Hammond, coach of the Las Vegas Aces, was suspended, and the Aces were stripped of their 2025 first round draft pick. And like Dorian pointed out, those draft picks in the WNBA are important, even though they can still mess around and trade you if you're a draft pick. But this was what came out today. And what happened today? And this is the commissioner's response. That's what the quote was, and what she was basically suspended for violating our respect in the workplace policies, and remain committed to ensuring that enhanced training is conducted and standards are followed across all WNBA teams. So what does that mean? What did Becky Hammond get suspended for? Ironically, for this situation that goes back to January. Miss Darica Hamby. If you guys remember, you see her there, superwoman and everything, talking about marketing. That was great marketing right there. She was a hooper. She was a mother. And she got screwed over by Becky Hammond, allegedly. Well, it's not allegedly because Becky Hammond was suspended for violating this lady's rights. And what rights? Rights that were actually written into the WNBA's collective bargaining agreement. Those are Darica Hamby's own words or quote from herself of how she felt. And you guys can read it. That's why I put it up there. So that's some of the other issues that's affecting the WNBA that I think is going to hamper the WNBA's chances of trying to expand when you have all these financial problems going on, all these other situations with the rosters going on, rosters with pay, and again, now with NIL and more money being offered in college or opportunities overseas, I, again, gentlemen, do not see the WNBA expanding anytime soon.
Well, I hear what you say, Dante.
Again, it's just my opinion. It's just my opinion. There's no right or wrong. If the NBA puts the money in, go do it. They should.
I hear what you say.
There's 144 girls that need an opportunity to play, and more of them coming out of college. 12 teams is not enough.
So the thing is, you keep saying the NBA,
owners. That's the key.
NBA needs to put more money in, blah blah blah. The NBA puts a lot of money in there.
That's the problem. The
problem
NBA,
is,
they need owners.
Finish.
Hold on. I know where Rodney's going. Hold on. I want to make one more point real quick, Rodney. The NBA puts all the money into it. There's not enough individual owners. And by the way, you know who owns the Sparks, right? The Sparks are maintaining because of Magic Johnson. So black ownership again in sports, that's what we need. But that's the problem with the WNBA. They need more owners with money to support the team as opposed to the NBA because the NBA is not helping them enough.
So here we go. All right. The first thing you got to understand is that at the end of the day, it's a business.
I understand.
Right? It's a business. And I'm putting money into this business because if I can get more female viewers to watch basketball, they'll watch the WNBA and they may come over and watch the NBA also. So there's a method to their madness. They're trying to gain more female viewership because why? Most of the households, the discretionary money gonna come through most of the females in the household, right? So they'll go out and buy their kids what's her name? Asia. What's her name? Asia. Wow. Y'all know who I'm talking about.
No, we don't. All the time taking in. I remember we talking about.
Anyway, they'll go buy a jersey from a WNBA player for their daughter or what have you. So that's more money. So they invest in this thing because they see eventually they're gonna make more money. However, there's always a limit to how much they're gonna agree to lose. And the problem is, like I said, they have a marketing issue. They're not bringing fans into the stadiums to watch these games. If they were bring more fans into the stadiums to watch these games, then you would get more income for the league, which in turn the players will receive more income because of the split that they have in their CBA. So I'm not going to keep giving you $30 million a year and I'm losing $40 million. I just can't do that. So what has to be done, and if you put more teams out there, now you have more teams generating more money. So now instead of me having just 12 markets, and that's what it's all about, I got 12 markets in the 12 TV markets that I'm generating money from. Instead of having 12, now I may have 16 markets that I can get money from. So now I got more money coming in from TV to offset some of this money that I'm not receiving on tickets. So that's really the best way for them to actually increase their money. And now you've added, if it's 2 teams, you added 24 players. If it's 4 teams, you have 48 players. So you've added more players to your payroll. I do like Rebecca Lobo's suggestion, but I don't think you can do. I don't
for
think
the IR. That goes to what you're talking about.
Because they must not have one. They must not have one in the WNBA.
They don't. They got
That's
12 players, and that's it.
very interesting.
12 is the max, and most of them don't even carry a 12-player roster. I mean, going back to your point, Rodney, about the expansion, whether they go 2 teams, 14, like in your theory, what you're saying, you know, the more teams you think they could expand, it generates, they're going to different markets, which potentially could generate more money. So 2 things on that. One of the WNBA's biggest competitors is actually college campuses where women's basketball programs are taking off. So like Tennessee and all those, or South Carolina. So in cities like that, that's the big ticket. Nobody would go to a WNBA there. Here's a stat, Rodney, when you brought that up. Since, what was it, 2000 or whatnot, had that? So there was 16 teams, Rodney, in 2000. Only 7 of them are still in the cities where they were. This was in 2000. Remember, now they're 210. They're at 12 teams.
One. And one
3 relocated. 3 of them relocated, and 6 of them folded, trying to spread to different markets. So that's another tidbit that goes back to their history. They tried this and to go to different markets, and they end up folding, which is why they're still stuck at 12. So to try to expand, do it slowly. Try to add 2, but you got to go into a market like Toronto would be a good market. Hey, Snoop going to Canada. We're going to be backing him, so that may be viable, but you have to find another city to expand equally that can give you that potential like you're talking about.
So
that's what the WNBA needs if they're going to expand.
So here's the thing though with that. What they've been trying to do is go right to where the NBA teams are, right? Mm-hmm. But the NBA, people are going to watch the NBA no matter what. But the NBA has teams in Salt Lake City. Who wants to go to Salt Lake City? They have teams in Memphis. Who wants to go to
speaking
Memphis?
Of Salt Lake City, that's where the women's championship is going to be in a couple years, or Final Four. So
that's very interesting.
Yeah, so that's again. So these college games are in direct competition with where some of these cities that these WNBA teams are. Mm-hmm. So that's what I'm saying. It's going to be
but they play at 2 different times of the year, so I don't know how they really competition.
No, again, but the problem is you can't put a team. You can't put a WNBA team in Orlando, right?
No,
that's not a city that you can put a WNBA.
Yeah,
but you can put one in Houston. Houston is the second or third. Houston is the 3rd biggest TV market, I think. Now.
Hold on, hey, they are. It's not about the TV market. Going back to Dorian. By the way,
it's always about the TV market. It's about the money.
Yeah, TV market brings the money.
Yeah, there is an owner. I forgot who it was. They're actually trying to get a team back to Oakland. By the way, I forgot who it was, and this is again a private owner. So
San Francisco is top 10 in the TV market. So that's what I'm saying. You need to go. You need to go to the areas where the TV markets are the biggest, because that's where you're going to get your money from.
We see this, and so you look at some of the teams that win. So like the New York Sky, the LA Sparks, the Las Vegas. We're seeing a commonality. We're seeing a common big markets. So if they're going to expand,
they also have a team in Connecticut.
True, but they're in the New York market. They're in that New York market, and so they're going to stay in that market, kind of with going to Toronto. So they got to go somewhere where, like I said, there's a viable market. So go back to Texas,
Philly, Miami, Houston, San Francisco.
Mm-hmm.
So that's where
you're going to keep your LA, Chicago, New York. So I mean, you can do it.
That's a whole list of them. They already got them there. They actually presented them at the expose or at the exhibition game of these proposed cities, and Toronto is at the top of that list, and their San Francisco is, I think, top 3 in that.
So at the end of the day, I want the WNBA to succeed.
We all would, man. You guys got daughters.
We want the WNBA exactly. We want the WNBA.
His daughters out of college to succeed. All they daughters out of college.
They on ball. So
hey, Dory, you know,
we got one last hope. We got one last
guard, man. 6 foot under point guard, WNBA. We want to see it.
I'm hoping she's gonna be tall, like her mama side of the family.
But I will say one thing, final note, Rob, before we close this out, at least the NBA over this past 27 years did what the Major League Baseball would not do for women's softball, because they tried that as well. Remember, made a movie about it, and they tried to bring it back about 15 years ago with what was that cat? Was it Masterson used to pitch for Texas and back in the day? So at least to the NBA's credit, they have worked for 27 years with a losing product of trying to promote this women's game to where, like, softball, baseball, we watch the college softball series on right now. I watch that every year.
Yeah, I watch softball
girls,
too. Yeah,
those girls have nothing else to follow up on. So I wish there was a league for them as well, a league of their own. So, and I'll finish up with that. But Rodney, we turn it back to our moderator.
You mean Cat Osterman? That's what you're talking about.
Cat Osterman, all 6'2",
yeah, from Texas. Yeah,
she was lit. They had a short. Arizona State, love you, John. You still out there, girl? Probably 2 babies and all. Geet, you still love you, but yeah, bring softball. Make that.
On that note.
On that
note, we want to thank y'all for joining us. Thank you
Geet,
for
you love the women's sports.
Enduring through all the Dante-isms and his pictures.
The views expressed by Dante are not necessarily the views.
Hey, our intro does say graphic language.
So, does it?
So anyway,
for D, Wonder Mouse, and Dorian Anthony in Richmond, for Geechee Dan in Phoenix, for DOOZE
hold on, right,
in Florissant. Oh, and for Sadie. Look at Sadie, y'all.
Yeah.
Hey, Miss Sadie.
Anybody had a problem with Geechee Dan had to say tonight?
Kiss it. Blow kisses.
I don't know if
Say
I want to say that for Sadie. But for all of y'all, again, thank y'all for viewing, for watching us. If you like what we said, if you didn't,
kiss it.
And we out.
Don't blame it on sunshine. Don't blame it on the moonlight. Don't blame it on the good times. Blame it on the boogie. Don't blame it on the sunshine. Don't blame it on the moonlight. I don't blame it on the good times. Blame it on the boogie. Sunshine, sunshine, moonlight, moonlight, good times. Blame it on the boogie.